SNK, a name synonymous with video games. Of course, this is in no small part due to the Neo Geo home and arcade system. At the time, the Neo Geo was light years ahead of its competitors Sega and Nintendo in terms of graphics and sound. Of course, as with anything that's better, it was freaking expensive. But for those willing to pay the high price, it was well worth it to play arcade games at home. This episode is dedicated to the games of SNK. First, we're going to start things off with Metal Slug Anthology. Then we'll move on to King of Fighters 2002-2003. And I am saving the creme de la creme for last, Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolves. This is Substance TV. You know, growing up as a kid, I always had a special place in my heart for games like Contra. Something about playing as a bare-chested soldier, killing everything in its path was just magical. Excuse me, getting a little teary-eyed. But then there came a game that just changed my world. And that game was
Metal Slug!
Metal Slug was like a delicate dance between death, blood, and guts, and beautiful animation and color. So our friends at SNK thought, hey, why not let our fans relive all of those wonderful memories with Metal Slug Anthology for the PlayStation 2, Wii, and PSP. The premise of Metal Slug is quite simple. Kill anything that moves. Nothing complicated, just good old-fashioned killing. Metal Slug Anthology includes every single Metal Slug game ever made, including Metal Slug 6 on the Atomus Wave. Of course, as is always the case with any port of an arcade game, there's always the inevitable question, how good is the port? As a general assessment, I'd say they're pretty good ports. That being said, there are some small little differences. In a few of the games, there is some input delay compared to the arcade originals. As far as sound and graphics go, everything looks pretty spot on. I will say that Metal Slug 6 does not look or sound as good as it did in the arcades or the PS2 import title. So really, for the casual gamer, you're not going to notice much of a difference. Now let me give you a little piece of advice. Stay far away from the Wii version. It sucks. There is no classic controller support. There is no joystick support. So you're left waggling around your nunchuck like an idiot trying to throw a grenade. And let me tell you, that blows. As far as the PSP version goes, it's pretty decent. There's some more slowdown than the PS2 version, longer loading times, and a few other minor problems. But it's alright. The PlayStation 2 version is definitely the way to go. Add to that, the collection can be found for around under $20 or so. 6 slugs for $20? Hey, it's a no-brainer for me. Go out and pick it up. Good old King of Fighters. The game originally designed to be a dream matchup of characters from SNK's various arcade titles. Sadly, the King of Fighters franchise lost its magic since the mid-90s. Thankfully, SNK has seen a quick turnaround with games like King of Fighters 2002 and King of Fighters 2003. As such, SNK has graced both the Xbox and PS2 with these two killer titles. As I said before, the King of Fighters series is a dream match, and King of Fighters 2002 and 2003 are no different. You've got your general assortment of characters along with good old standards. SNK even included characters who have been missing in action from the past few titles, like Andy in King of Fighters 2002. Woohoo! Yeah, that's just... it's great. It's really good, even though I don't play as him. Yeah. But it's good for those who do, I guess. Although I was excited to see they included some of the Mark of the Wolves characters like Tizok and Gato. They even got Terry in his Mark of the Wolves getup. Yeah, freaking sweet. As far as ports of the arcade originals, these are pretty spot on. Comparing the two as far as controls go, they play really similar. I couldn't tell much of a difference, if any. Also, the sound and graphics are just as good. Although both games are great in their own respect, I personally would have to give the upper hand to 2003. The controls were a little more responsive, and I don't know, I liked it just a bit more. As far as the differences between the Xbox and the PS2 version, there really is none. Only thing the Xbox has is online play, but that's if you can find anyone online who is playing. But hey, if you're a nut for online play, go with King of Fighters 2003. It plays a whole lot more slick with a lot less lag than King of Fighters 2002. As far as finding a copy of the title goes, it's kinda hit or miss depending on where you live. I have seen copies new for around $15. Worst case scenario, check online and see if you can find a copy. If you're a fighting game enthusiast like I am, or just an SNK nut, pick up these titles. You're not gonna regret it. You see, SNK is like a father, and all of the games SNK has created are like his children. And Mark of the Wolves, well, Mark of the Wolves is his hot, college-age daughter. And now that you've seen her, you will not stop until your desire is quenched. So let us quench that desire by taking a small look at the beautiful, the lovely Mark of the Wolves. I'll just start by saying that Mark of the Wolves is one of my favorite SNK titles ever. What Third Strike is to Street Fighter, Mark of the Wolves is to Fatal Fury. And as in Third Strike, Mark of the Wolves has taken out most of the old characters that you're more familiar with in the Fatal Fury series. Graphics-wise, this game is probably one of the best-looking SNK titles to ever come out on the Neo Geo. These are totally new sprites with great effects, smooth animation, and overall an awesome atmosphere. The music is also top-notch. And of course, sound and graphics don't really matter much if the gameplay doesn't deliver, and thankfully, Mark of the Wolves does. Mark of the Wolves gameplay is fast and furious. Now this isn't to say it's some button masher, because it's far from it. You're gonna have to use some calculated strategy to find a way to beat your opponent. Mark of the Wolves was only ported to the Sega Dreamcast, so compared to the other games in this episode, it's going to be a little harder to find and it may cost you a little bit more money. More than likely, you're going to have to go online to find it. It's going to cost you anywhere from $30 to $60 depending on the day. Even though it might be a bit on the pricey side, trust me, it's worth it if you have a Sega Dreamcast. Comparing the Dreamcast version to the arcade original, I did notice a few small differences, but nothing really game-breaking. For the casual gamer wanting to play the game, this is a good way to go. Although it might be a pain to find it online, trust me, in the end, it'll be worth all your hard work and time. You don't want to miss out on this title.
Okay. One.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of Substance TV. Now, I know some of you may be a bit confused as to what this whole SNK Neo Geo thing is all about. Well, if you have any questions about that, go to www.neo-geo.com. Now, some of you may have noticed the new intro to Substance TV, and I have to give a big thanks to Cave Treasure. Go check out Cave Treasure, all one word. Look him up on YouTube. He's got some funny videos, some video game stuff, all sorts of stuff. Go check him out. And last but not least, thank you for watching. And as always, game on.